What was your most emotional moment? I came home at 1 a.m. to find my husband drinking whiskey with a complete stranger in our lounge. I'd been out after work with some colleagues. Absolutely exhausted, I finally made it back home, eager to fall into bed next to my husband, who I was certain would already be fast asleep. Instead, I walked in to find him sitting with some man who looked a bit like Andre Agassi when he had a shaved head and a goatee. What an odd scenario. Why was there a complete stranger in my house at 1 a.m. when I desperately wanted to go to bed? Out of respect for my husband and his newfound friend, I'd have to stay up and exchange pleasantries, which I was in no mood to do. They both looked up at me in awkward silence, Agassi holding his glass of whiskey inches from his mouth. "Hello," I said, hesitantly, waiting for some kind of introduction or explanation. They said nothing. Just grinned at me like two idiots. I felt like I'd walked in on some secret meeting. "So? What's going on then?" I asked, politely. My husband, still grinning, said I made a new friend at the pub. "It's Andre Agassi." Very funny. I was now annoyed. It was late and I had to be up for work the next morning. This was no time for childish shenanigans. They carried on with their silly, evasive charade for a while longer. Frustrated, I announced I was going to bed. Agassi got up and sat next to me on the sofa. He looked at me intensely. It made me nervous. I really wanted to punch him. He reached into his back pocket, pulled out his wallet and fished in it for something. He pulled out a photo. "I'm not Andre Agassi, but you do know me." "Okay. The last time you saw me," he grinned, "I looked like this." He held up a small, black and white passport photo of my cousin, Ali, at age 5. I had not seen him or spoken to him since my childhood. At age 12, I'd left my entire family behind to escape the revolution in my country. My mom, 4 grandparents, 4 aunties, 3 uncles and 5 cousins. We were a tight-knit family. Always together. My parents were divorced, my father had custody, and he decided to take my brother and me to America, for our own safety. It was the right decision, but it meant having to say goodbye to the whole lot of them. It was hard. I was homesick for a long time and missed them all terribly. They would occasionally come to me in my dreams, where we'd be joyously reunited. I'd wake from those dreams in such a state. Happy, but tearful. Lost. Gradually though, the gulf between me and my old life grew wider and quieter. The letters and phone calls stopped. Eventually, as I delved into my new life on a different continent, they all became a distant memory, locked away in that box of sentimental items in the attic of my mind. They were characters from another life. A life that no longer existed. For nearly 2 decades, I had no family. I never spoke of them or to them. It was easier. Ali had been the baby of our family back then. A darling little angel. He once had a passport photo taken. He looked so cute in it. His expression was so serious, like someone facing the Spanish Inquisition. This photo became a favorite within our entire family. Everyone got a copy to keep on their fridge or in their wallet or scrapbook. I had one too, which I'd ended up taking with me when I left my country 20 years earlier. And now, here was this grown man, sitting on my sofa, holding up that very passport photo in front of my face. He had known that I would immediately recognize it. I didn't say a word. Not one. Instead, I buried my face in my hands and just sobbed. I cried and cried. My heart felt like it could explode. I can honestly say that, second to the birth of my son, it was the most emotional moment I've experienced. Ali in that little photo he was holding represented my old life, my entire family, my history. And here he was, sitting an inch away from me. Apparently, my husband had come home from work that afternoon to find a strange man with a rucksack sitting on our front step. Ali had got my address from another relative and had decided to come to the UK, where I now lived, and pay me a surprise visit. It was pre-mobile days, so my husband couldn't get in touch with me to tell me to hurry home. All they could do was wait for me to return. So, they went to the pub, drank too many whiskeys and concocted their Agassi ruse. When I'd finally stopped crying, we hugged and talked and reminisced the rest of the morning. Suddenly, there was a bridge connecting me to all of them again. They were all real once more, no longer a fairy tale or vague memory. I have since reunited with several more members of my family, including my mom. But none of them made me as emotional as Ali, because he was the first. He broke the dam.